Okay. So, real quick spoilers on Project Hail Mary, and I'm actually going to start at the end. What did
Oh,
you think of the ending, Jay? Because I'm really curious, because again, you hadn't read the book, right? So, actually, before that, do you think the ending was the same as the book?
uh, yeah, right, yeah,
It is. With
okay,
there's a slight tweak they make to the ending, right? But
okay,
we'll start there. So for those that don't know, Grace has to make a decision at the end of the film. The real twist is at the end of the movie where he goes, "Crap, we screwed something up. The Taumiba are eating through the Xenonite, and they're gonna kill Rocky. So I have two choices. I can send these pros back to Earth to tell them how to fix it, and I can go save Rocky, or I can go home." Right? And Grace is like, "Well, I guess I will go save Rocky. I'm never going home." And he does. And he goes and saves Rocky. And then he goes to Rocky's planet and they build Grace a little habitat on Iridani. Um, so what did you think of the ending? Did you enjoy it? And were you surprised by the ending that he doesn't go home? He goes to Rocky's planet.
I so one. I thought it was so adorable. I was like, oh my god, they like made him a little habitat, and I was like, and I thought it was really funny. Like Rocky was like, I built door. Like when I knock, you answer door. Like it was so funny. Um, and and this is where I'm like really intrigued by like what's covered in the book because to me it makes sense why he wouldn't go home because he did not want to be a part of this mission. They tricked him. They drugged him and he
Mm-hmm.
woke up on a fucking
By
spaceship.
the way, that is the same
Yeah, like
as the book.
that's brutal. He talks about how like his partner left him because his head was in the clouds.
So that's new.
Um, oh, okay.
That
Okay.
part is
So
not
that
in the book. Um,
that's interesting.
So them drugging him and forcing him to go. So all right, now that we've done the ending, right? So the
Yeah.
biggest change to the end is at the end of the book you don't see Strat, right? What happens is it's obviously everything's from Ryland's perspective, the whole book, right?
Yeah.
Um he's on Rocky's planet, right? And they're chilling. He's like, "Okay, they've built me a thing." And the thing at the end of the movie where you see him teaching the little Rockies, right? That's what he's doing. He's like, and now they got me this thing, and I teach. Because you noticed in the movie, he was like, there's stuff that they understand that we don't, but there's shit that they just do not like radiation. They don't know anything. And so when
Yeah.
he goes back to Rocky's planet, he's like, I teach them things, right? That we know. And they teach me things that I don't know, but I teach them, right? And so he is a teacher on Rocky's planet at the end of the book. But you never see Strat. The way you found out it worked is Rocky comes to his place and is like, "Hey, by the way, our scientists have been watching Soul. Have been because they get back to Rocky's planet, they fix Roxy's star, but because of how slow light goes through the galaxy, right? How many years it takes for light to transmit, you know, it takes them like 20 years before uh Ryland knows whether it worked or not. He goes to Rocky's planet, is like, "Well, I hope it worked," right? "We saved Rocky's planet. Don't know." And then at the end of the book, Rocky goes, "Hey, our guys are watching Soul. It has returned to its full luminescence, right? We've prepared the Hail Mary. You can go home if you want," right? Just like at the end of the movie, he says, "Hey, we've gotten it ready to go for you, but you don't have to leave. But if you want to, you can go home. But we can tell you that Soul has returned to full luminescence. Like it worked, right?" You don't see Strat. So that's what they changed the end. And I actually like the change for the movie where you get to see old lady Strat be like, "Okay, we know that his ship made it back and she's really smart and she's gonna fix it." Okay, cool. So that's the primary change. But yeah, I mean that all stays the same. The stuff you were saying in our non-spoiler review, um, about them not developing Strat enough, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two things there. One is she's far more in the book they show like how powerful she is, right? Like you know how this is like this big international thing. She's in fucking charge. Like the governments of the world have been like, look, we got to put our shit aside. One person's got to be in charge of this project so that it can go, right? And she gets basically permission from all the governments of the world to do whatever the fuck she has to do. You can't, any law you need to break, anything you need to do, you get to do it to make Project Hail Mary work. And in the book, they show that, and I think they kind of downplay that a little bit in the movie, right? The other thing that you get more of in the book, because the Earth stuff is longer, right? Dude, if you tried to do this just straight up as an adaptation, it'd be like 8 hours. Ryland is like her second in command by the time they leave. That's the thing, is there's actually a whole sequence where toward the end of the book where they're like, hey, Ryland, like, you're her second. He's like, no, I'm not. And they're like, who else goes with her everywhere? You are her fucking number 2, right? Like he develops over the course of the story into her number 2, right? Before they ever leave. And then, yes, they end up, the explosion does happen, right? The way you see it in the movie, the 2 science officers are killed. And she's like, hey, will you go, Ryland? And he's like, no. And she's like, if by no, you mean yes. And then they drug him and stick him on the ship.
Oh, God.
The book also has a lot of math in it. I think your engineer brain would grok it. I think you would love it because there is so much of him being like, and then this number goes here and we do this. Like he explains it.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to have to get this. Like I'm getting the book right now.
I read the first half of the book in like a 4-hour sitting. Like not even. Like I devoured it. It was really good. There's a little more at the beginning about the Petrova line and what it is, and there's more to it than that, but they kind of, obviously, they go through it pretty quick, right? Like, hey, son's dying. Yay. There's also a lot more with the other scientists, although there's one character that they pretty much added for the movie that I liked a lot, and I didn't want to say anything in our non-spoiler review. And
was that the driver?
Carl.
Yeah, Carl.
You know how him and Carl through the whole every Earth sequence, like they're working together and they do the hardware store sequence and Carl's helping to build the box, right?
Yes.
Carl is not in the book but in any significant way. Like that's new.
I did like Carl. Carl was good.
But yeah, like, you know, the initial sequence where they first give Ryland the astrophage and he's figuring stuff out, and then afterwards they're like, okay, we'll leave you 3. Like that's actually a big fight in the book, and then he accidentally breathes the astrophage. Right, that does happen. You know, but yeah, they speed a lot of that up because that takes him days. Like he spends days in the lab just trying to figure out what the astrophage are, right? Whereas in the movie it looks like he spends about an hour.
Yeah, I didn't get a sense that it was an hour. Maybe it's just because I've been, obviously not on that scale, but I've been in labs, and for me, I was like, okay, this has been like weeks, if not months, of him like figuring this out. Like, because yeah, you just don't, that's like the really great thing I love about engineering and science. You will bang your head against the wall for days and days and days. And when it all finally clicks and you get it and whatever you're trying to do actually works, like the robot moves or whatever turns on, it is like the biggest, like, I don't know, satisfaction you can fucking have because you spent the time to sit there and just fucking figure it out. So,
yeah. The book also is a lot more about the other astronauts. Like, his grieving the astronauts makes a little more sense because he spends a lot of time with them. Like, that's the funny thing is in the book you get the sense because they're like, well, it's going to take like 35 years for the Earth to really get bad. The stuff on Earth in the book, it takes place over like a year or two Because obviously they can't build that ship overnight. Like, they have to train, they have to get everything ready, they have to do all this stuff. So you learn a lot more about the astronauts, the other astronauts, in the book. So,
Okay.
again, this is being our spoiler one, and we'll post this one probably Sunday so that people have a chance to
And
see it.
boom. Nope, you
Um,
don't see that. I bought the book.
what are some other spoilery details you want to talk about in regards to this film?
Oh, spoilers. Let me think. I loved. I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, but one thing that I really loved was just like kind of how playful Rocky was. So like when you first encounter Rocky, his ship, when they're both on each other's ship, like individual ships, Rocky's ship like mimics the other ship, and they're just like kind of like very playfully just like mimicking each other. And then you just kind of see that like throughout the movie. I love the fact that like Ryan's like, oh, I get it. Like they think I'm stupid. And and then I love like how later on in the movie when he's talking to Rocky and he's like, oh, do you want like the puppet show? And Rocky was like, yes, puppet show, puppet show. Like help me like make sense of this. And then like Ryan's like, okay, I'm gonna go here. And like, I don't know. I just love the how playful kind of like their interaction was. Also the scene where Rocky can hear everything, and Rocky's like, "Who are you talking to?" And he's like, "There's no way you can hear me." Like
That's
that.
that's an
That
ad
was
for the
fun.
movie. That
Okay.
scene is an ad for the movie. Well, specifically the one where he's like, "You can't hear me. You can't hear me. You can't hear me." Like, they're demonstrating something in the movie that the book demonstrates differently.
Okay.
You know, um, again, they're trying to they do a good job of pushing a lot of the themes that you get right from the book, like as quickly as they can. You know, again, like the video diaries, it's the he's a genius engineer, right? Like, that's something you learn about Rocky as you go through the book, is that Rocky is kind of the chief. He's the chief engineer of the ship that he was on, right? That's his job. He's not actually like a scientist. He's an engineer. And he's like, I build stuff and I fix things. That's what I do. And my room is next to the engine room. And again, because the astrophage block out the radiation, it's why he didn't die. You know? And he was like, I don't know why. Right? They talk a lot more about Rocky's planet. A lot more about
Oh,
Rocky's planet.
okay. That's
Because
cool.
there's a whole sequence where once Grace figures out where Rocky's from, he's like, okay, what is this? Oh, it's a gas giant. Like, what the? Like, how? You know, um, like their gravity is crazy. That's why they're made of rock.
Yeah.
Um, the sleep thing is a thing from the book, right? The Rockies people want to be watched while they're sleeping. So
That's cute.
it is. Trying to think of what else. Yeah, they compress a lot of the Earth stuff. Like, that was actually the thing that surprised me, was how little was on Earth comparatively. Because the Earth stuff is a lot more in depth in the book. Like, how did they figure out how to do X, Y, and Z? What were they doing to prepare for this mission?
Mm.
Kind of Grace and Strat's relationship, right? Um, I think Ryan Gosling was a perfect choice for this role. I can't think of anybody. They do such a good job of making him look like a dork. All the sweat, I kept looking at the sweaters he was wearing through the whole movie, and he's wearing these like cardigan, cable knit, like nerdy sweaters on Earth, like
Yeah.
do do do. I don't know if you noticed, but the way he like lets his glasses like hang under his face when he's
Yeah.
not wearing them. Like the first time I was like, are you doing that? Oh, you're doing whole movie, just the same thing. Okay, got it. Um, yeah, like I said, there's a lot more. Obviously, it's a book, so there's a lot more. But um, spoiler stuff for the movie though. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I thought they did. I, they really shortened the part about him fixing the Taumiba.
Oh,
That part is
okay.
a lot shorter.
Hmm.
Because that just kind of happens. He's like, okay, I guess we'll breed these Taumiba, and I'm done.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's another thing they cut out of the book where like his astrophage in the Hail Mary gets all messed up when they do the flyby to get the Taumiba, right? To figure out what the
mm,
Taumiba are. A couple of them get into his engines and get stuck, right? And eat up all his astrophage. And so Rocky has to give him a bunch of spare when they think he's going to go back to Earth because,
yeah.
like, there's a whole sequence where he's like cleaning out his ship and like doing all this stuff to try and refix the ship. So there's a lot of that stuff in there. Trying to think what else. Yeah, again, I mean, they held pretty close, and they kind of do it in the same sequence. You kind of get Grace is in space. He remembers some shit. Grace is in space. He remembers some shit. Like it's the same kind of sequence where you're kind of moving forward in time, but on two parallel, kind of like at two sections of the timeline, right? And so it does it very similarly. Um, so I'm kind of glad they kept that structure because I think it worked well for the movie.
Yeah, it definitely helped break up the movie, I think, while still kind of filling in that like backstory. So yeah, I think it worked great. Yeah, I don't really have like any constructive feedback about this movie.
Yeah. I was just again, this is more for spoilery purposes, like any spoilery stuff you want to talk about that we didn't do in the main review.
um, I don't know. I mean, like that's kind of the entire movie, like in a nutshell. Um,
Yeah.
do you? I guess like in the book, do you learn more about like Rocky's mate that he talked about, and then also I
A,
thought that was kind of interesting.
a
Is
little
like,
bit.
oh, okay,
A little bit.
that's cool.
And yeah, Grace does name her Adrian, you know.
Yeah, that's I which is I mean I don't know. I just thought that was really funny. Like you have Rocky and Adrian.
Yep. Um
Like,
one of the things they kept, the probes are still named after the Beatles, right? That's in the book, and I was
okay.
like, what? I was like, okay. Oh no, you kept it. Okay, good. We do still have John, Paul, Ringo, and George going back to Earth. Um, yeah, I mean, again, they held to the structure pretty well. Again, they get through a lot of it. Like, do you remember the sequence in the movie where they're talking about how they're going to do the cables for the centrifuge?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's like a whole section. Uh, there's a whole section about how they're going to try and keep the Earth warm while they're waiting for the Hail Mary to do what it's doing, right?
Oh,
And then there's a lot more about them getting enough astrophage, right? They're like, we don't, these things suck up a lot of power because they're absorbing energy from the sun, and we don't have that much power on this planet. So, how are we going to get enough astrophage power to do it? And that's a whole sequence that, again, they just don't talk about in the movie at all. So, and unfortunately, the one to keep the planet warm, that actually goes back to the how powerful is Eva Strat, right? Like, what is she allowed to do? And the answer is whatever she thinks is necessary to save the Earth, because that's really where they're at. And I know you get that sense of the thing, especially early when the kids are like, "We're all gonna die." You know when he's in the classroom at the beginning of the movie, and they're like, "We're all gonna die." And he's like, you can see he's trying to calm down. He's like, "We're not all gonna die. Okay, we might die, but no."
yeah. I did kind of like that scene where he was like, I don't think I should answer that. Like, you should ask like your parents. And then he keeps trying to like have his normal class, like, okay, guys. And then like, but the kids were like showing him like, one, like they're smarter than that. And second, like, hey, like we can be like adults. Like, let's have a serious conversation. Like, let's talk science real quick. And then, yeah, so you're seeing him like kind of go back and forth between this, like, no, like I need to reassure them.
Yeah.
They're not going to die, but then it's like, oh, we might die. Like,
yeah. Again, I thought it was good. Again, I thought they kept to a good structure here. It's definitely one of the, going on the how close is the adaptation to the book. It's pretty close. Like, it's pretty close. It's not the closest I've ever seen, but it is pretty fucking close. So, all right, folks, that's our spoiler talk. If you want to talk to spoilers, go down in those comments. Leave us a comment. What's your favorite little weird detail from the movie? Did you read the book? Right? Are you happy that Grace went to live with Rocky, with Rocky's people, or would you wanted him to go home? Let us know what you think down in the comments below.